Astrology to Evolve, and today we are here on this live broadcast talking about the full moon in Aquarius. And so we'll be going through this report like normal, where we'll talk about the energies of this full moon. Feel free to leave me a comment and say hello if you are joining. And if you have any questions, I might not be able to answer everything live, but I always love your questions and hearing from you and hearing what you guys want to know from me. And so we are just going to go through, like always, and talk about the energy of this full moon. And then we'll talk about what it means for each rising sign. So let's just get right into it. We have the full moon in Aquarius here, and I have the chart pulled up already. So this is happening on August 22nd, Sunday at 5:01 a.m. And hold on a second. Nope. Okay. Okay, so August 22nd at 5:01 a.m. That is Pacific time. And so we have one of the biggest things I wanted to tell you guys about this one is we have it at 29 degrees. So the sun will be at 29 degrees Leo, the moon will be at 29 degrees of Aquarius, and these two will be opposite. That is what makes something a full moon, is whenever the sun is opposite the moon. This happens once every 28 days because that is the lunar cycle. And then when the sun and the moon come together, that's when the moon is new, where the moon is dark because they're right next to each other. So this 29 degree is kind of a big deal in astrology. It's known as the anaretic degree. It's one of the critical degrees, and it's one of the critical degrees that is consistent across all the signs. So some of these critical degrees are like 17 degrees immutable is a critical degree, but it's not like that 17 degrees isn't for every single sign. 29 is one of the 2 degrees that are considered significant in every sign that it lands in, the other one being 0. So in 29 degree, it's said that the soul incarnates to experience that energy at a culmination. So it's as if you have lived past lives where you have done this thing before, and then when we are born with a 29 degree, it's like we want to feel that thing to the fullest. We want to finish it off. We want to complete the cycle. And in general, in astrology, it's said that as a planet, progresses through the degrees, it becomes more potent at the end of the sign. So either way you look at it, 29 degrees is a powerful degree. So um, it doesn't mean bad just because it's critical, and I said the word critical. It doesn't mean this is like a bad degree, like critical condition. It's more like potent, powerful, significant, important, and intensified. So we could see an intensification of themes of Leo and themes of Aquarius. So Leo type things are going to be our self-expression, our passion, our ability to be self-directed, our feelings about our own goals, and really, living the life we want to live, enjoying our lives, possibly, being the center of attention versus not. This can come up with Leo and Aquarius. Oh, hey, Lupus. So, yeah, the feeling of being in the center of attention, or, stepping back, stepping out of the limelight, this dichotomy, this opposition of energies can show up when we are dealing with Leo and Aquarius, because that's really the archetypes here. Leo is the archetype of the king, which is like wants to serve the people, wants to have an audience, wants to be seen, has a very strong sense of pride in oneself, and how you put yourself out there. And then the opposite energy, Aquarius, is the water bearer, but the energy of Aquarius, like what it's really like, to me, it's like mad scientist energy, because it's about not needing recognition and, being of service to the good of humanity. This does not mean that Aquarius people can't be in the limelight, or Leo people can't, step out of the limelight or anything like that. But we really do see this push and pull here. So whenever there's anything highlighting an axis like this, we might find ourselves on one side or the other, where it's like, I want to be more in the spotlight, or, on the other side where you want to step out of the spotlight or get less attention or put more focus on humanitarian efforts. But the real, meaning, the real deal with this full moon in Aquarius happening this Sunday is going to be a culmination, and it's the second full moon in a row, guys. It's going to be a culmination of whatever intentions you were setting in February, mid-February 2021. So you can think to what was happening in February. What were you wanting to change or improve? Because Aquarius is a sign of evolution. It is a sign that's going to, call us to our highest potential, and it will, disrupt anything that doesn't kind of, it's like it's ruled by Uranus, which is the change maker. And Donna, oh, it's going to be your birthday. Yes. Um, Happy birthday. So yes, Uranus being the change maker really, will rattle us out of our comfort zone if we're not quite, on the path. Will shake things up in our lives, always for the purpose of us being more, being better, being improved, being on a higher level. These are all Uranian things. Uranus wants things to be better. And so there's that part of us back in February that whatever we wanted to be better, whatever we were thinking about improving or called to improve, that's going to be highlighted at this time. For some people, you will get a culmination of that, especially if you like set new goals and started trying to achieve them back in February. You might see some, you might see some results come in for whatever actions you've been taking, especially when it comes to areas of life where you've really tried to have better habits, areas of life you've really tried to improve. So, that being said, we'll talk about the rising signs, but first we're going to talk about Jupiter because Jupiter is the closest aspect. And let me make this a little bigger so we can see. Well, that didn't do what I wanted. So, well, I'm just putting it back. Okay, so Jupiter here is at 26 degrees of Aquarius. We also have Saturn in Aquarius during this full moon. So Saturn restricts whatever it touches. It was a lot closer to the action on the last full moon in Aquarius. So this being the second one in a row means it's going to be, I think this one will be better. Okay. I just think it will be better. I think it will open up more things for us because it's further away from Saturn. And having Jupiter here, Jupiter expands everything it touches. And what is it expanding? It's expanding our desire to evolve, our desire to change. And I guess for some people, this may not be self-initiated. It just depends on how it lands for you. But either way, Jupiter is expanding either our desire to evolve and make changes or our need to evolve and make changes. And so if you are one of the people who you don't really want to make changes, Jupiter will be expanding that need, which means you could experience it as being forced to change. Of course, this totally depends on how everything lands in your natal chart, but that's the general gist of it. And then, for people who are wanting to evolve, who are wanting to make changes, who are trying to see things from a higher level in any area of life, whether it be building your skills so you can get a better job, wanting to make more money, wanting to have more communication or happiness or passion in your relationships, and on and on. Whatever it is you want to improve, this full moon is definitely, I would say, supportive of positive changes, especially if we're willing to look at things from a different perspective. Okay, yeah, all right. I'm just looking at the comments, you guys. It's good to see you too, Donna. Lupus says the moon will be conjunct my north node at the full moon. Cool. That's exciting. And yeah, Donna said that's pretty cool. Yes. Okay. That is cool. I had a Uranus transit to my north node about last year. And it was when I started working online and I started doing astrology. So it was kind of cool that my introduction to astrology was so obvious in my chart. Not everyone has has those, and definitely full moons can definitely have a strong effect, which reminds me to tell you guys who this is going to affect the most. So, because this full moon is at the 29 degree of Aquarius, it's going to affect you the most if you have plans from 26 degrees to 29 degrees of Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, or Taurus. So, personal planets being the Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. I think I got them all. Sun, Moon, Rising. I always feel like I forget one. But if you have a personal planet or an angle at those places, that's going to be a stronger influence. And because it is, let's see, because it's the 29 degree, it could also affect you if you have planets at 0 to 3 degrees of Pisces, of Virgo, of Gemini, or Sagittarius. So, that being said, you guys, we can talk a little more about how Jupiter shows up in Aquarius. Jupiter is, as many of you know, the planet of luck and expansion. Aquarius is a sign of, like I said, evolution, making things better. So it will expand that. And for some of us, this is going to show up more like, um, again, expanding our own desire to make changes in the house that corresponds with that area of life for us. But for other people, this will be more like a gift from the universe, or opportunities could open up, especially when it comes to solutions, because Aquarius is a sign of solutions. So if you've been having problems, or you've been wanting to fix something, or make something better, or improve anything like that, then this full moon could help you, especially in the area that house lands in. So let's go ahead now and talk about the different rising signs and what it means for each one for this full moon to be happening. So the first, we'll just start with Aries, you guys. So for Aries risings, this will be happening in your 11th house of friends, group memberships, and hopes and dreams. So to have a full moon, a culmination in the 11th house, if you've been working on building your audience, this could be a time of either more growth, or, depending on what actions you've been taking, you could see some focus on the area of life that involves your friend groups or your audience on social media. This can also be income from work that you've been doing, especially if work has been going well, or you've been adding more responsibilities at work. It's possible that you could make more money on this kind of a full moon, but it really depends on what you've been doing. So I don't want to make any promises, guys. But other ways this could show up for the full moon in Aries is you might actually want to make changes to your friend groups, make changes to the groups that you are associated with. You might want to make changes to how you show up on social media. You might want to elevate that, or you might want to monetize something, especially if you already have like an audience or your own business or something that would make sense in your life, that you would get gains from your income. And even some people, I think, with this placement, with this full moon happening here in this house, like if you've already been investing, you might want to get gains from your investment portfolio. But again, it just depends on what kind of things, what kind of 10th house things you've been doing, which would be what kind of work you've been doing, especially work that you could potentially be recognized for. So if you don't see a culmination of these things, you may find yourself somehow, facing, confronting, or dealing with whatever you may have wanted to change back in February in this area of life, in the area of friends, groups, and your hopes and dreams. So the next sign we have is Taurus rising. For Taurus rising, this is happening in your 10th house of career. So this would be career, what you're known for, in the world, your role in the world. So to have Jupiter here, this is a positive, really positive full moon culmination for career for Taurus risings. So again, this can be a culmination of work you've already put in, where you start to see the blessings. You might find that you are wanting to have some challenges in career, but with Jupiter here in this full moon, it gives you potential solutions to that challenge you might have or you might be facing when it comes to your own business, your career, what you're known for, your recognition in the world. The next sign we have is Gemini rising. So for Gemini risings, this is happening in your ninth house of belief systems, the law, philosophy, and higher knowledge, higher learning, the meaning of life, long distance travel. So for Gemini risings, this can be a culmination of something connected to your belief systems, especially whatever you've been working on since February. So if you've been focused on something related to shifting your beliefs or some kind of legal issues, or if you've been focusing on publishing, possibly, this is the house of publishing, writing, publishing, any kind of body of work. If other countries or long distance travel are things that apply to your life, Gemini risings can have a culmination, something come in this area of life, but they can also have, this can be a time where you're seeing solutions to your philosophy, the meaning of life, questions you've been asking, these deep questions, or maybe even you want to start a course, or you start, getting to do the thing you took the course for, just depending on which Gemini rising you are. But the themes here are, major learning, like longer term learning, like this would be like university courses, not like a just one-off online course you took for a couple weeks, but more of the committed type things. And everything else I already said. So let's move on now to Cancer rising. This is happening in your eighth house of transformation, of death and rebirth. So for Cancer risings to have a full moon in Aquarius with Jupiter here, this is going to expand. You might, if you have a desire for solutions when it comes to many of these various topics, sex, death, or other people's money. So this can involve many things for Cancer risings, including estates, including inheritances or your spouse's money in some way. Um, it could also involve loans, debt. It could involve sexual connections, deep intimacy with other people, and any other kinds of transformation that involve, major upheavals in life. So I know that's a wide range of things, but this is what the eighth house is, guys. It is transformation. It is deep. It is, any kind of entanglements. You could become unentangled if you want to at this time, or you could start getting entangled at this time. That's really the best way I could describe an eighth house full moon. But because Aquarius is here, there's going to be a focus on solutions. So, I mean, this could even be something like you and your partner start exploring new things privately, or just, changing the way you invest. This is also a house of investments, would be really strong if you have like a stock portfolio, or even, you're concerned about how much interest your money is making, stuff like that. But again, it refers more to the other people in your life's money and your other people's assets, or your own deep internal transformation. But I do feel with Jupiter here, this is a positive transit for you guys. So it's like you have more potential to expand if you want to transform something, if you want some crazy deep change. This full moon could help you make that happen. And then if you've been working on any of the things that I've discussed, this can be a culmination where something wraps up or resolves around those eight house themes of taxes, death, sex, intimacy, other people's money, even commitments with your partner, especially if you're married. So that's what I have for that. The next sign we have is Leo rising. For Leo risings, this is happening in your seventh house of partnerships. So this is going to be all about, expanding potential solutions. So Leo risings could be working on communicating better with your partners, or doing other things to make your relationship better. If you're a single Leo rising, this could be about business partnerships, or it could be about, making yourself better in some way to find love, especially when it comes to communication. So if you've set out to make your relationship better back in mid-February, then this culmination, it's like you're going to be able to see what worked, what didn't, and what still needs a little working on. And whatever work you have put in, this is the time to kind of really see where it's at. You'll get some kind of reality check, positive or negative, that says this is where you are and this is what could improve. But also remember, with Jupiter here, it's like it does bring blessings, it does bring potentials, it does open up opportunities. So some Leo risings could have opportunities open up with business partnerships or in relationships, whether you are single or coupled. So we'll move on now to the sign of Virgo. For Virgo risings, this is happening in your sixth house of health, daily routines. And this is also the house where we see pets. It's the house where we see employer-employee relationships. And it often refers to what we do on a day-to-day basis. So to have this full moon in the sixth house, first of all, you could see a culmination, Virgo risings, of the work you've put in for the last 6 months on your daily habits, on your routine, anything you've done to make your work life better, anything you've done to make your day-to-day schedule better, any kind of health regimen or fitness routine you've been working on, anything you've been working on, you could see a culmination of, seeing where it's at. You might see some kind of results that you couldn't see before from the work you've been putting in. And you can also see if something hasn't been working, you'll be able to see that as well. But also there's opportunities here. So for some Virgo risings, this could be opportunities for more work, for better work, for promotions, for working more efficiently. That's really what I feel the most for this, because it's in Aquarius. So Aquarius in the sixth, also, you could have an opportunity to have freedom in your daily schedule, your daily routine. So perhaps you have a more lenient schedule now than you did before, or something frees you up in some way or allows you to be more efficient in your daily schedule, in your daily life. Next sign is going to be Libra risings. For Libra risings, this is happening in your fifth house of creativity, children, and fun. So to have Aquarius full moon, this really does feel like a positive transit. They're positive for everyone, you guys. But this is a nice house to have a Jupiter full moon in, because it's going to expand that creativity. It's going to expand that fun. It's going to expand. It might expand responsibilities if you have children, to what you're having to do to take care of them. For other Libra risings, it's a culmination of that, and now things will be shifting, and that responsibility might release a little bit or change in some way. Other ways that this can show up is you could be more inspired to be creative with this happening. And remember, creativity doesn't mean you have to be an artist. We all, can be creative in our own ways. And also, it's about self-expression too. So our need to creatively express ourselves, whether we are actively pursuing that path of an artist or we just, we all have that need in our lives. So that's for Libra risings. And yeah, again, dating can also happen here. So for Libra risings who are single and want to start dating, this can be an opportunity to date someone fun or go on more dates. For Libra risings who are coupled, this can be an opportunity to have more of that joy, the joy of dating, the joy of romance in the partnership that you currently have. So then after that, we have Scorpio risings. So Scorpio risings, this is happening in your fourth house of home, roots, and feeling at home within yourself, that emotional strength, emotional security. So basically for Scorpio risings, what we're seeing here is going to be a culmination in this area. So some Scorpio risings could have to deal with some stuff that deals with your immediate family members or your family of origin. And it doesn't have to be bad. I mean, with Jupiter here, it does feel more like it is going to be a more positively felt transit for everyone. So for Scorpio risings, this can be some kind of good news from your family of origin, wrapping up something from your family of origin that you had to deal with up until now, that you're maybe happy it's over. This can also be, what else? Let me think, you guys. I have to think about this one. Okay, so the fourth house is also our physical home. So being an Aquarius, you could be a culmination of making upgrades to your physical home or moving or roommates or other kind of changes in the home. This could also be working from home. If you're a Scorpio rising who works from home or wanted to start working from home back in February, there can be some kind of culmination that kind of tells you whether you're on the right track with that. And you could possibly see solutions, especially if that's a theme for you. And last but not least, it's our emotional foundation, our core of who we are, feeling comfortable in our own skin. So to have a culmination in this area of life with Jupiter here expanding it can just make you feel more okay in your own skin, especially if you started doing things back in February to cause that, you know? So, whatever things you were doing, whatever intentions you had back in February around home, around feeling good in your own skin, possibly meditation practice for some Scorpio risings, and really if you had that desire to be more grounded and centered, you could be seeing the results from those actions, those changes you've made. So the next sign we have is Sagittarius. This is happening in your third house of, okay, so it's in your third house of communication, of day-to-day trips, of siblings, and what else is the third house? Yeah, like your neighborhood, your immediate environment. Also, teaching and learning can land here. So, for Sagittarius risings, this can be about a culmination of anything you've learned in the last 6 months. So, if you started learning something in February, you've been teaching yourself something, you've been trying to learn more, at this point, you might see some kind of culmination, some kind of um, feedback that shows you how much you've learned. You might finish a course of study or feel like you're at a next level with your studies if you are a Sagittarius rising who is studying. If you had some kind of involvement with your siblings that started 6 months ago, this could be a culmination there, especially if it involved changing, making things better. And for some of you, it might just be that you have a sibling who maybe improved their lives as well. That's one other way this can show up. But really, having Jupiter in the third house can expand your ability to um, want to be free in your neighborhood in some way. So you might, if you are feeling trapped in your neighborhood or you've been feeling confined in any way, this transit could potentially create opportunities. Again, the areas of life vary for this house, but it really, to me, this is a house of like being busy. Okay, so if you've been busy the last 6 months, you may find that that changes a little bit, and finally you're released from some kind of duty or responsibility, especially if it involves going back and forth from place to place. If you haven't been busy and you've wanted to be and you're a Sag rising, you could find that you have more to do in your neighborhood or you have more errands to run or something like that. And again, this is like the house of the mind. And so you could see, especially if you've been, okay, if you're a Sag rising and you were trying to, create a better mental state for yourself, this would be a time where you could see the results of that work that you've done. And it can also, again, be teaching and learning. If you're a Sag rising who's been teaching, you might see a culmination or a change in what you teach, how you teach. You might know more, you might have more to offer in your teachings, that kind of thing. So, moving on to Capricorn rising, this is happening in your second house of value, money, and possessions. So, a culmination here is definitely there's potential to make money, to especially if you've been doing some kind of work the last 6 months that would make that realistic for you. Uh, you could see that you have a culmination in terms of your skills. If you've been building skills, if you've been wanting to build skills, this could be a time where you see the results, or it's like maybe you stop studying that thing because now your skill is at a level where you want it to be. Or it can go the other way where you have a culmination of like, if you have a skill that you feel like you've been lacking and you haven't been working on it, this could be a time where you see the need for that. But either way, the potential to build skills and make more money is heightened with this full moon here. So, Capricorn risings, you can really use this energy to your advantage if you're trying to make money. Also, another thing that falls in this house, guys, is self worth. So, if you've been wanting to work on your self worth and your Capricorn rising, if you've been actively trying to see your own value, that kind of thing, then this transit can really show you, this full moon can show you how well you've been doing on that, where you're at, and what still might need to improve. And remember the potential for solutions. So if you've been having any challenges um, in your second house themes, which is with your possessions, with what you own, with what you value, what your values are, what other people's values are, how other people value you, there's a potential at this time to see solutions, grab onto them, and really rise and ascend with that Aquarian energy. So last but not least, you guys, we have Pisces rising. Pisces risings are having this happen in your, oh wait, no, sorry. First, we have Aquarius rising. This is happening in your first house of your own identity, your body, yourself. So to have a full moon in the first house for Aquarius risings, number one, this is probably going to affect you guys more because anything first house related is always powerful. It always really, it changes our identity, how we see ourselves, who we feel like we are. So Aquarius risings might be wanting to change your identity, wanting to change your appearance, wanting to do a glow up, wanting to do a makeover, wanting to make yourself look or feel better, wanting to change a part of who you are and become a different kind of person. And because it's Aquarius, it feels like this will be a positive thing. Like, what positive thing do you want to change in your life? Jupiter here allows you to expand that, to really grab onto. It's like Aquarius creates the freedom and Jupiter expands that freedom. And it's like Aquarius risings, the world is your oyster, okay? You can really make positive changes. One thing to watch out for Aquarius risings is weight gain. Okay, so when Jupiter is transiting your first house, it can be a little bit easier to gain weight at that time. So just be aware of that. That is a challenging time for people, especially people who struggle with that. First house and sixth house, guys. Those are the two that Jupiter will really make it tougher. Um, but yeah, Aquarius risings, major changes ahead, major culminations on this full moon. The next sign, now we finally move to Pisces, you guys. Pisces risings is happening in your 12th house of isolation, of withdrawal, of spirituality, and of escaping. This is also a house known for hidden enemies, and they're hidden because we can't see them. It's the things we hide from ourselves that land in this house. Having a full moon here, a culmination in the 12th house, can be a culmination of anything you've worked on in the last 6 months to improve your mental health, if that applies to you. Remember, it's a general reading, so just take whatever applies to you about your sign and your current stage of life, and do your best to um, filter it through whatever you're personally going through. Any Pisces risings that have been working on your mental health or your spiritual well being, your ability to be grounded, connected to the moment, feel okay with your own self, face your own demons, whatever that looks like for you in whatever way you would do that. This is a time where you'll see the culmination of that. You should be able to see some kind of results. You might see how much work you've put in and what you've gotten out of it so far on that journey. You could also see solutions. So, solutions for challenges that are mental health related, solutions for challenges that relate to the subconscious mind, spirituality, really going deep within your own psyche. There's solutions right now. So I see this as a positive thing. Although with Jupiter here, if there are really big challenges or really big secrets or big things to face and deal with, there is a potential. This isn't written in stone, but there's a potential that Jupiter could expand those things. So just know during this full moon that if you're a Pisces rising and things get a little emotional for you, or big secrets are revealed, even if it's secrets of your own self, like you get some huge insight that's kind of tough to deal with, just know that whatever is happening, Jupiter is expanding it and it will not be expanded forever. Also, The moon deals with our feelings. So full moons do tend to make us quite emotional anyway, especially if we're more sensitive to that. And Pisces risings, you guys are because you're Pisces rising. And this is happening in a sensitive house. So just be good to yourselves during this time and try not to get in too much into any kind of judgment. If anything does come up for you guys, I'm not saying this has to be negatively felt. It can go either way depending on what other placements you have in the 12th house. But for Pisces rising, I would say the biggest deal is just know that for anything that does come up that is related to the themes of isolation, of withdrawing from reality, of mental health, of spiritual well-being, your mindset, your feeling of connection to the divine, any of that stuff that comes up, there's going to be more potential to solve any problems in those areas. So you might just get the solutions. You might just find a new incredible therapist if you've been looking for one. You might just find a new spiritual teacher or spiritual practice that helps you, release some of those subconscious things. So know that the solutions are there if you have Pisces rising. So just to recap, everyone, for anyone just jumping onto this live, you guys can go back after I've finished the live broadcast and watch the whole forecast, including your rising sign, because I went through each one of the rising signs to show you where it's going to show up in your life. But again, to recap, we're seeing themes of Aquarian themes of solutions. This really is a full moon where we have more possibility, even though it's the same sign as last month. It's a way stronger Aquarian energy because it's at that 29 degree. We have more potential for possibilities because the degree that the full moon is not right next to Saturn like it was in the last month where we had to be more disciplined. We still have to be somewhat disciplined in order to get the rewards here because Saturn is in that sign. But since it's not as close, it's not making such a, it's not putting such a squeeze on us, such a restriction on us. And another theme here is freedom, because Aquarius is all about freedom. Sometimes, it's so free that it's just the weirdo who lives in the woods and doesn't have electricity, like it can be that rebellious. And it is also rebellious. So we may find ourselves more in touch with our own rebellious nature, with our own desire to be different. And the only thing there is to always, watch out that we're not just being different and then punishing ourselves just because we wanted to be different, right? There's a time and a place to follow the order of things, right? And do things in the proper way. And there's a time and a place to be a rebel and be a revolutionary. So um, again, it's a culmination. It's a more powerful, potent culmination because we have it at that 29, that anaretic degree in astrology, which is that final crescendo of energy of the sign. And remember, guys, we did have a huge, powerful conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn at the 0 degree of Aquarius in December of 2020. So we're still in that age, this 20-year cycle of Aquarius. Astrologers don't like it to be called an age because technically it's not. According to real, true astrology, I'm just being honest. But it's a cycle. It's a 20-year cycle where basically we're going to see a lot of advancements. We're going to see more focus on social justice and the collective good. And really, I think of Aquarius personally to us, to us as individuals, as helping us evolve, helping us be better, helping us improve. So the more we're willing to improve and evolve and make things more efficient and make things more better, be better people, whatever that means, even if that means just eating more broccoli, or even if that means spending a little bit of time volunteering where you never did, or these teeny little adjustments to, especially to the area of life where Aquarius is in your natal chart, will go a lot longer of a way. We will get more results with Jupiter and Aquarius if we're embodying that Aquarian theme of, focusing on the good of the whole, of trying to make things better, on trying to improve systems for humanity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to leave you guys with that message of hope. And let me think of any updates I have. I am available for private readings. If you want to book a consultation, you can always do that at thesaffronsage.com. I have a bunch of exciting stuff that's going to be happening soon. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel to get all the videos. The Jupiter videos are almost done. If you haven't gotten yours yet, they will be out. They should be out by the end of this week. And then we'll be doing a lot of more really fun stuff. So stay tuned for all the upcoming videos. I'll be doing more videos on the nodes and purpose. So if you want to know more about your life purpose, this is going to be the channel for you. And that is it, you guys. I hope you have a great full moon in Aquarius, and I will see you guys in the next video.